Part 2. Soon, my face turned red and swollen. I was disheveled, with my clothes barely covering me. A lot of skin on my body was exposed. Seeing this, Ariel narrowed her eyes and said gently, "This bitch's hair is too annoying. It's hindering her from showing off her body." As she said that, she revealed an evil smile and took out a lighter. She set my hair on fire. The fire quickly spread on my head. An intense burning sensation engulfed me. For a moment, my cheeks, ears, and entire scalp felt a burst of strong burning pain. The pain was unbearable. I instinctively tried to pat out the fire with my hands, but they firmly held me down. In the blink of an eye, my hair was all burned. My scalp was covered in burn marks. At my look, Ariel laughed with satisfaction. "It's funny, with your bald and ugly face. How are you going to seduce men in the future?" Her several close friends laughed and applauded. I stared at them, trembling all over. Then I shouted, "You will regret this. Brian threatened me with the lives of my entire family. I had been imprisoned for many years. I stayed at the empty villa in a daze day after day. It made me even more frustrated. Now, I had to endure Ariel's torment. The anger in my heart instantly turned into intense hatred. Ariel walked up to me and stepped heavily on my face with her foot. "How dare you challenge me? Since what you say will always displease me, you shouldn't speak anymore. Cut off this bitch's tongue." With her command, one of Ariel's bodyguards behind her walked towards me with a dagger in his hands. Seeing this, one of Ariel's best friends, who was timid, said fumblingly, "Ariel, this is Mr. Hawk's territory after all. Is it appropriate for us to make such a big scene?" Ariel said without hesitation, "What's wrong? Brian is my man. His house is my house. I'm just educating a shameless bitch in my home. Who dares to say anything to me? Besides, Brian loves me so much. Even if I kill this bitch, he won't frown at me." Her other girlfriends echoed, "That's right. Ariel is Mr. Hawk's most beloved woman. There's nothing she can't do. When the time comes, Mr. Hawk will only feel sorry for Ariel for exhausting herself from dealing with the bitch." Hearing their words, the timid girl no longer had any concerns. She watched the show with peace of mind. I lay on the ground, watching the dagger in the bodyguard's hands. He was getting closer and closer to me. I was extremely frightened, shouting in panic, "I am indeed Brian's wife. If you do this, Brian will never let you go." However, my threats had no effect. The bodyguard came to me and extended a dagger towards me. I wanted to escape, but several of Ariel's best friends firmly held me down. I wanted to hide, but the dagger, shining with cold light, had deeply cut into my mouth. The bodyguard lifted his hand and stabbed at me with the dagger. In a daze, I saw a large amount of blood and my severed tongue falling from my mouth. The pain was extreme. I felt like all the nerves in my body were severed. I was about to faint. I was like a pile of mud, lying in a pool of blood. I couldn't move and my breath was weak. Ariel stood with her arms crossed, looking down at me. She said, "Even though you had plastic surgery to make yourself look like me, with your appearance, Brian would never take you seriously. He loves me as a person. Got it? Not everyone can live such a good life as me. Brian won't fall in love with any woman. Since you a bitch are so desperate for a man, I'll reward you with a few men." After saying that, she looked at the several bodyguards behind her. She said indifferently, "I'll give this bitch to you to play with. Whoever works the hardest on her, I'll reward them with $2 million. At Ariel's words, the bodyguards' eyes instantly lit up. They rubbed their hands eagerly and fiercely, planning to pounce on me. I collapsed on the ground without any strength to resist. I wanted to shout, but I had no tongue. My mouth was full of blood. I couldn't make a sound. I could only let them ravage me. Brian imprisoned me here obsessively, but he had never hurt me or touched me. Even if I didn't want to get close to him, he never forced himself on me. He said he would wait for the day when I was willing to give myself to him. He said I was destined to be his in this lifetime. But now I was overwhelmed by a group of bodyguards. I was helpless. Helplessness and despair engulfed me. I couldn't speak, crying uncontrollably. "Brian, is this the result you want?" A few of Ariel's best friends watched the show and praised Ariel. They said, "Ariel is destined to be Mrs. Hawk. She is good at teaching others a lesson." Yes, see, this despicable woman was stubborn at first, but now she is made to cry. It's funny, she probably won't dare to seduce men anymore in the future. Congratulations to Ariel for successfully getting rid of a despicable bitch. Let's see who dares to compete with you for the position of Mrs. Hawk in the future. Ariel smiled victoriously and proudly as they praised her. The excited bodyguard suddenly looked strange. The next moment, a bodyguard stood up and pointed at me. He reported, saying, "Miss Berg, this woman is dead." Hearing this, Ariel frowned and looked disgusted. "How unlucky. Bury her somewhere quickly in case she will stink Brian's eyes." As soon as she finished speaking, Brian walked into the courtyard. "What are you doing?"